Chapter 91, A Surprise from the Small Tree. Big Head, do you need me to send you a bowl of fish soup at noon? The next morning, seeing that Zhang Tai was preparing to leave the tree base and walk to the mines, Barley looked at Zhang Tai with a look full of desire, causing goosebumps to form all over Zhang Tai's body. No need. At noon, I will just casually eat a bit when I'm out, Zhang Tai replied as he hurriedly put the mining basket on his back. How about I go mining for you? All of my achievements will belong to you. I swear that the amount will not be less than 1 ton of ores a day. Baghdad patted his chest, causing pawpaw sounds. Really, there's no need. Mining is my hobby. For the time being, I still find it to be interesting. Zhang Tai had also refused Baghdad. Seeing their pitiful looks, Zhang Tai felt that he needed to show them a bit of hope. For them to be only able to read it for an hour, this was the most painful thing to them. If I can eat boar meat tonight, my mood might be better. Brothers, did you hear that? Boar meat, we need to catch a boar today. If we get lucky today, then we can carry one back by noon, Doug shouted out loudly. Fine. Hurry up, guys. If we fail to capture one with our existing traps, then we will dig another one today. Leaving one person to keep watch of the tree base, all the other horny students moved on and became 100 times more active than Zhang Tai. At the sight of these guys, who were acting kind in front of him earlier, leaving him alone, Zhang Tai shook his head and inwardly heaved a deep sigh. It seems the power of the book was truly unparalleled. As Zhang Tai and the other members of the Hit Plane Brotherhood had never learned a high-level fighting skill or a cultivation technique like they had definitely taken the contents within the book as the greatest fighting skill that they had ever encountered. After every one of them read it for an hour last night, they were all attracted by this book and had difficulties parting with it. Every member of the Hit Plane Brotherhood knew that this was a rare opportunity, one which could not be easily obtained, thus they all treasured this opportunity. Although they didn't say it out loud, within their hearts, they all felt a deep gratitude towards Zhang Tai. They felt that Zhang Tai was a righteous individual and was truly qualified to be their brother, especially since he was even willing to share secret knowledge with them. Seeing them disappear before him with an extremely quick speed, Zhang Tai smiled. Afterwards, he suddenly had a weird premonition. It seems that the castle of black iron would bring him a surprise today. Half an hour later, with a burning torch in hand, Zhang Tai entered that tunnel where he used to dig in the mine. First, he set up a small trap at the mouth of the tunnel that would warn him if someone entered the tunnel. Afterwards, Zhang Tai removed his mining basket and inserted the torch into a gap between 2 rocks. Walking into the shadow of another tunnel where the light did not reach, he took in a deep breath and closed his eyes. There appeared the arched door in his mind. Lock on, enter. Handsome and magnificent castle lord, welcome to the castle of black iron. As it was sunny and brilliant in the castle of black iron, Zhang Tai narrowed his eyes, and after a short while, he gradually began to adapt to the sunlight. All the light here radiated from the colorful fog that flowed around the surrounding space. The light was soft, it was as if the light had shone through a rainbow or the rays of the sun before shining down, giving Zhang Tai a comfortable feeling. Zhang Tai once wondered whether there were night and day in the castle of black iron and whether it remained the same even after he left. However, he soon gave up this thought. Upon stepping on the firm land in the castle of black iron once again, complicated feelings burst forth in Zhang Tai. Due to the attack from the 7 wild wolves that almost took his life and had almost forced him to bid farewell to the world forever, Zhang Tai felt as if he had been reborn. Through this crisis, Zhang Tai felt again that strength was very important in this age. After taking in a deep breath of fresh, aura-filled air, Zhang Tai leisurely opened the basic attributes panel of the Castle of Black Iron. Castle of Black Iron. Length, Krosa. Width, 1 Krosa. Aura value, 3968. Merit value, 2117. Basic energy storage, 4285. Special output, void. With the increasing number of plants within the Castle of Black Iron, the aura value had presently skyrocketed over the past 2 weeks. At the sight of the quickly increasing numbers, Zhang Tai became very excited. The moment he closed the basic attributes panel, a dialogue jumped out automatically. The liquid yeast has completed its mutation and evolution for the first time. Please view the changes. Soon after the dialogue disappeared, Zhang Tai recalled that he had used several points of basic energy storage on the liquid yeast before the start of the survival training, which would complete its mutation and evolution after 15 days. Therefore, Zhang Tai hurriedly opened the Microorganisms Management panel in Carbon-Based Living Beings and Species Management under the Living Beings and Population Management to check the results of the mutation and evolution. Two messages instantly popped out. No new liquid yeast variant was formed through the mutation and evolution, thus the mutation and evolution has failed. If you wish to attempt to mutate and evolve the liquid yeast again, the system suggests you to increase the amount of basic energy storage points. Thinking of how he had inputted 0.1 basic energy storage points into the liquid yeast last time, Zhang Tai felt embarrassed. After thinking for a while, Zhang Tai attempted for a second time to mutate and evolve the liquid yeast. This time, Zhang Tai decided that he will definitely succeed. Aside from using the maximum amount of basic energy storage possible, Zhang Tai also increased the amount of merit value points by tenfold and doubled the amount of aura value points. After a series of steps, two dialogues popped out again. On June 13 RD, 889th year of the Black Iron calendar, handsome and magnificent Castle Lord had inputted 600 points of aura value, 50 points of merit value, and 340 points of basic energy storage into the mutation and evolution of a bottle of liquid yeast. It is estimated that the mutation and evolution will take 360 hours. Handsome and magnificent Castle Lord, please wait patiently. Since the surprise didn't come from the mutation and evolution of the bottle of liquid yeast, then it could only come from the Manjasaka Karma fruit tree. Moving towards the small tree, before he had even been able to stand before it, he had already smelt an unforgettable fragrance. The fragrance was a mix of the leafless fruit and a fragrance that contained both the smell of sandalwood and fruits. However, this time, the fragrance coming from the leafless fruit contained something special. As expected, the tree brought Zhang Tai a huge surprise. On the twig where the first leafless fruit had once grown were two leafless fruits. Judging from its color, one of the two fruits had already become ripe, while the other one would ripen soon. At the sight of the two hanging leafless fruits, Zhang Tai finally recovered his composure. Previously, whether a ripe leafless fruit would fall off the tree or whether it would delay the growth of the next leafless fruit had always been a concern of Zhang Tai's. However, at the sight of the two leafless fruit hanging closely, Zhang Tai felt at ease. This leafless fruit has become ripe. Usage: pick and direct eat it. Notice, the fruit cannot be taken out of the castle of black iron. After 12 hours of having been picked off the tree, its energy and vitality will gradually decline. 31 hours left before this leafless fruit becomes ripe. Zhang Tai read the above two warnings regarding the two hanging leafless fruits. Looking at the two leafless fruits, Zhang Tai felt really happy. Beside the leafless fruit, Zhang Tai found the iron body fruit, though it looked different than last time. He then checked its progress bar. Upon finding that it was 3/4 ripe, Zhang Tai burst into laughter. At the sight of the progress bar, Zhang Tai remembered his tumbles within the deep hole dug by the gold-eating boas. Never would he have that the collisions and friction from the tumbles would have such a marvelous effect. It was almost the same as him being beaten. It seemed that he didn't necessarily need to find people to beat him. As long as he received damage to his body, it would stimulate the growth of the iron body fruit. With this gave Zhang Tai many new ideas, causing the road before him to become much broader than before. However, the biggest surprise was neither the leafless fruits nor the iron body fruit. Instead, it was the strange fruit that hung on the other side of the tree. Ever since his last encounter with Huck and Snade, Zhang Tai realized that this small tree could produce fruits even without his consent. With external stimulation, the tree would be able to produce fruits. Since that incident, Zhang Tai had made it a habit to circle around the small tree to check whether new fruits were hanging somewhere. There really was a strange, hexagonal pitch-black fruit that was the size of a plum. Stretching out his hand, Zhang Tai instantly got its information. The trouble reappearance fruit has already become ripe. Usage: pick and direct eat it. Notice, the fruit cannot be taken out of the castle of black iron. After 12 hours of having been picked off the tree, its energy and vitality will gradually decline. The moment the above words disappeared, another paragraph of words appeared. This is the fruit of killing. The laws of the universe continue to circulate between life and death. Among all deaths, deaths through fights between different species are both the most common as well as the most frightening. Let's be brave and face the inevitable killings and deaths in this virtual space. Let's be brave and attempt various challenges inside this virtual space. After experience the same killings and deaths again and again, you will lose your fear towards death and killing. You will gain freedom from killing and death, moving on to the top of the chain of evolution. Keep in mind that the body is the container for the soul, and the soul and spirit experience the same sensation as the body. Everything in the virtual space, including every strand of grass or wood, is a reflection of the physical world. With the exception that you will not die inside this virtual space, everything else is the same as that in the physical world outside. The existence of everything inside this virtual space makes the universe treats you well. Reading the above words, Zhang Tai came up with a thought, I'm really rich now. The trouble reappearance fruit looks really powerful. Continually rubbing his palms, he was truly excited. Chapter 92, Trouble Reappearance Fruit. At the sight of the new fruit hanging on the tree, Zhang Tai's heart pounded as he reminded himself to keep calm. After taking in a few deep breaths, Zhang Tai finally managed to control his desire to pluck off the trouble reappearance fruit and instead moved to the other side of the tree before promptly picking off the ripened leafless fruit and consuming it in a couple of bites. Following that, he sat under the tree with legs crossed in order to experience the effect from the second ripened leafless fruit. Because of Huck and Snade and because of the damned wolves, he was delayed by roughly 3 weeks from enjoying the ripe leafless fruit. It truly wasn't easy. Zhang Tai heaved a deep sigh inside before closing his eyes and immersing himself in the gradual, obvious effects of the second, ripe leafless fruit. Before the lingering fragrance from the sweet juice of the second, ripe leafless fruit had even disappeared, a familiar sensation could be felt, a strand of hot air could be felt in his chest and continued to swirl upwards. Then, the strand of hot air became a hot wave that turned into a ferocious fire dragon, directly charging towards the burning point on his rear end. The ferocious fire dragon gradually became increasingly more powerful, while the red flame by the burning point at his rear end immediately grew brighter. It was as if it was a pile of burning firewood that had just been doused with oil. Boom! The red flame turned into a dark orange color. As the energy gradually seeped into the flame, the dark orange color also gradually became brighter. Zhang Tai had sat there for almost half an hour, during which his body shook slightly 3 times. Half an hour later when Zhang Tai opened his eyes were filled with uncontrollable passion. After a short while, in Zhang Tai's mind, he could already catch a glimpse at the brilliant yellow flame over the burning point by his rear end. With a single ripe leafless fruit, he had consecutively broken through 3 cultivation barriers on the burning point, truly an astonishing speed and force. Seeing that silent small tree beside him once again, Zhang Tai's heart was filled with awe. After stretching his limbs and his body, Zhang Tai came before that trouble reappearance fruit once again. I wonder what this fruit is used for? With this question, Zhang Tai carefully plucked the fruit, sat down with crossed legs, and took a large bite. Compared to the leafless fruit, which had a sweet taste, the moment he had bitten into the flesh of the trouble reappearance fruit, it was as if he had bitten into smoke-like water which flowed from his mouth through the place which connected his oral cavity and his nasal passage and directly rushed towards his brain. When the energy from the trouble reappearance fruit encountered the small swirl of foggy and golden chi in his mind, Zhang Tai felt as if someone was fiercely striking a drum within his mind. All of a sudden, the view before his eyes turned pitch black and he entered a space where light could not reach. This was a strange feeling. Although Zhang Tai's body was obviously sitting under the Manjasaka Karma fruit tree, it seemed as if his spirit was in another space, one which even light could not reach. Soon after he entered that space, he saw a dim light which gradually became brighter and changed into a hexagon-shaped door, one whose shape resembled the trouble reappearance fruit. Zhang Tai didn't move, as that hexagon-shaped door was directly rushing towards him like a train. Surprisingly, right when it was about to collide with Zhang Tai, it enveloped him. Then, Zhang Tai found himself in a place that truly caused him to be extremely shocked. It was the familiar path that he walked on when he returned from the mine. The familiar uphill road. The familiar grassland. When the breeze came, even the way the grass swayed was the same. Zhang Tai could even hear the sha-sha sounds that came when the breeze blew over the grass, while the familiar chirping of insects reverberated into his ears from the side of the road. As the afterglow from the setting sun gradually painted the Wild Wolf Valley in a golden color, every pore on Zhang Tai's body could feel that a kind of warmth filled the air. What's happening? How could I be here? This feeling, why is it so familiar? Zhang Tai panicked a bit when he realized he was carrying a mining basket on his back. However, Zhang Tai was not given too much time to think about what had happened. While Zhang Tai was panicking, several rocks in the patch of grass beside him were speeding towards Zhang Tai. In a couple of seconds, 3 wolves had drilled their way out from the grass. With eyes fixed on Zhang Tai, even a fool would be able to sense the hatred contained in their eyes. As they grinned, gula gula sounds came from their throats in the exact same manner as what Zhang Tai had encountered several days ago. The only difference was that there were only 3 wolves this time, instead of 7. Additionally, the 3 wolves were exactly the ones that had been killed by him. Zhang Tai remembered that one of the 3 wolves had a ring of white fur right above its neck, just like one of the 3 wolves before him. F***ck, what's happening? Zhang Tai was really frightened, and the scene was too much for him, causing his mind to be thrown into chaos. Before he was able to clear his mind, the 3 wolves had already pounced towards him. Zhang Tai hurriedly put down his mining basket, but the leader of the 3 wolves, the fastest one, had already knocked him down onto the ground. Its sharp claws had already pierced through Zhang Tai's chest, causing him to feel so much pain that he began to growl. Panicking, Zhang Tai remembered the dagger that hung on his waist. After fiercely punching the wolf that had pounced on his body, Zhang Tai intended to grab that dagger. However, another wolf had already arrived and had bitten his wrist. The moment its sharp canines pierced through his flesh, Zhang Tai was in so much pain that he almost passed out. The blood vessels at his wrist had also been roughly torn by the wolf, causing his fresh blood to instantly spray out. At that moment, Zhang Tai's mind was filled with the fear of death and the excruciating pain that was present all over his body. Soon after, the 3rd wild wolf reached him and started to bite Zhang Tai's right leg. Feeling the pain, Zhang Tai miserably screamed out, "Ah, help." However, his high-pitched screams didn't work at all. What was worse, the leader of the wolves that had been pushed away by him earlier had shown its canines again as it bit down on Zhang Tai's neck. As a result, Zhang Tai wrestled with the 3 wild wolves. However, his final struggles were all in vain. At the last minute when he lost his consciousness, Zhang Tai no longer felt pain. Instead, he felt a suffocating sensation, as his blood had filled his air pipes and lungs after his neck and throat were torn apart by the leader of the wolves. Is this what death feels like? This was the last strand of his consciousness. Boom! Everything broke into fragmented specks of lights before vanishing. Under the small tree, Zhang Tai recovered his senses and opened his eyes, recalling what he had just experienced just now. As his chest heaved up and down, Zhang Tai continued to gasp for air. It was only now did Zhang Tai realized how nice it was to be able to breathe for free. Feeling cold all over, he touched his back only to find that it had been covered in cold sweat. If he had a mirror to look into at this moment, he was sure that his face would definitely be pale. Checking all over his body, he wasn't able to find any wounds at all. What had happened just now was like a dream. However, the dream was extremely realistic. With the exception of not having actually lost his life and not having been injured, what had just happened to him was definitely real. How could that happen? Zhang Tai started to rack his brain. It must be the trouble reappearance fruit. When he thought of the information about the fruit, Zhang Tai suddenly realized something. Zhang Tai's temperament was actually on the persistent and stubborn side. If what had just happened to him was truly related to the trouble reappearance fruit, then Zhang Tai wouldn't let this go until he has figured it out. After recovering his composure through half an hour of rest, he clenched his teeth and sat down under the tree with legs crossed once again. Damn it, I swear I'll figure this out. Zhang Tai fiercely mumbled. If I can't figure this out, then I won't eat supper and neither will I get circumcised in the future. I'll be a virgin for the rest of my life. With this persistence, Zhang Tai entered his mind once again. It was different than before. Zhang Tai had found something besides the arched door of the castle of black iron. Floating above the arched door like a looming star was the hexagon-shaped trouble reappearance fruit that he had eaten earlier. Focusing on the hexagon-shaped star, a message came to his mind. Handsome and magnificent castle lord, because you have already used the trouble reappearance fruit once, if you wish to use it again, you must inject enough spiritual energy before you can activate the effect of the trouble reappearance scene within the trouble reappearance fruit. Since the trouble reappearance fruit was in his mind, Zhang Tai was easily able to quickly inject spiritual energy into it. This hexagon-shaped fruit was like a sponge, as it continued to absorb his spiritual energy. After 3 minutes of absorption, the fruit became shiny once again. The trouble reappearance fruit has been activated and is now available to be used again. The method to use the fruit is the same as the one used to access the castle of black iron. The same as accessing the castle of black iron? Heh, that will be simple, Zhang Tai mumbled. Lock on enter. At the beginning, it was still pitch black inside. however, soon after, sparkles appeared in the darkness before finally forming into a hexagon-shaped door which rushed towards Zhang Tai like a train, forcing Zhang Tai to enter. Afterwards, Zhang Tai reappeared on that path, facing the grass that swayed from the breeze. Everything from before had remained unchanged. Is this the effect of trouble reappearance fruit? Does it recreate killing scenes to allow me to become liberated through killing and death? Zhang Tai looked towards the patch of grass, within which 3 rocks had already started to move towards him. F***ck. Since he didn't want to suffer the pain from the 3 wolves again, Zhang Tai hurriedly put down his mining basket and pulled out the dagger from his waist before taking a defensive posture. With eyes widely opened, Zhang Tai stared at the 3 wild wolves, who had their eyes brimming with hatred fixed on him. The wild wolves charged at Zhang Tai as he waved his dagger. 5 minutes later, sitting on the ground with wounds all over, Zhang Tai looked at the bodies of the 3 dead wild wolves and burst into laughter. By that time, he finally understood the real effect of this trouble reappearance fruit. Boom! Everything in the space smashed into specks of light and disappeared. Chapter 93, Marching Onwards. A fresh breath of air was brought by the breeze in the valley. The scent of nature, grass, and wood carried in the breeze instantly caused Zhang Tai to feel relaxed. The breeze flowed through Zhang Tai's hair and circled around his collar before moving to his sweaty back. That cool sensation was so pleasant that Zhang Tai almost moaned. Today marks the 7th day since Zhang Tai had recovered and left Wild Wolf Castle, and today also marked the 7th day since he resumed his work as a miner. During the past few days, Zhang Tai had gotten accustomed to carrying the mining basket filled with ores and handing it to the delivery point beneath Wild Wolf Castle. In the past, he would usually carry about 50 to 60 kilograms of ores at once, and sometimes he would even carry as much as 70 kilograms. However, over the past 7 days, every time, Zhang Tai would carry more than 100 kilograms of ores. He would hand in the number of ores required for the job in one go, causing the people at the delivery point to be greatly startled. They could have never imagined that Zhang Tai's average-looking frame had such amazing strength that could not be matched with his peers. Over the past 7 days, Zhang Tai looked tranquil. Currently, nobody knew that Zhang Tai's strength had crossed over to the next level. 5 days ago when Zhang Tai ate the 3rd leakless fruit, as expected, Zhang Tai consecutively broke through 3 cultivation barriers for the burning point at his rear end, causing the burning point at his rear end to radiate a blue light. With 1 more leakless fruit, the burning point would radiate a purple light, which meant that he would have reached the next level and would officially become a LV2 soldier. Within a month, he would be able to ignite his 2nd burning point and become a LV2 soldier. This was truly an astonishing speed. At the very least, Zhang Tai has never heard of someone in Black Hot City who could match his speed in igniting the burning points. Aside from the burning point at his rear end being ignited soon, he also gradually began to see the effects of the trouble reappearance fruit. Through fighting the 3 wild wolves several times a day, Zhang Tai could feel an obvious increase in his fighting skills. It was now easier for him to apply the fighting skills he had learned in school, thus allowing him to easily kill the wild wolves. With that great magical treasure, Zhang Tai decided to become even more low-key than before. In the eyes of the others, Zhang Tai was working even harder than before, seemingly as if nothing had even happened. It was as if he had forgotten the whole ordeal of having been attacked by the wild wolves. Like usual, when Zhang Tai placed his mining basket onto the scale at the delivery point, the students from the 2nd National Male Middle School who were acquainted with Zhang Tai ran over to take a look at the number on the scale once again. 138 kg. F***ck, you broke the record again. Could one's strength really improve that fast by doing mining work? One of the students complained. I really have to give it a try as well. Zhang Tai looks at ease whenever he hands in his ores. With just 1 trip, he can already get his rations. You should forget about it. Zhang Tai has already ignited his shrine burning point and has already become a LV1 soldier, said the guy beside him as he shook his head and recorded the numbers in his notebook. Then, he gave a glance at Zhang Tai, indicating that he's asking for a favor of helping them pour the ores from his mining basket into the cart on the rails. In the past, 2 people were able to finish this task. However, ever since Zhang Tai started to bring more and more ores at once, they would struggle to lift the mining basket of ores, which weighed more than 100 kilograms, 1m into the air before pouring them into the cart. Thus they would always ask Zhang Tai for this favor. Didn't Tannen also ignite his shrine burning point a long time ago and become a LV1 soldier? How come he doesn't seem as strong as Zhang Tai? The fellow who just spoke rebutted as he shot an admiring glance at Zhang Tai. On one side, he helped lift the mining basket, while on the other, he mumbled, since he could survive despite falling into a 200m hole dug by the gold-eating boas, this guy truly is a freak. Zhang Tai didn't know who this Tannen person was, but he could guess that he was an outstanding student. Listening to their discussion, Zhang Tai just gave a generous smile as he fabricated a lie. To tell you the truth, doing mining work is really challenging, especially the part where you have to carry the mining basket out from the mine. As you know, I was not able to carry so many ores in the past. However, over the past few days, I had realized that when I chose to challenge my physical limits, once I clenched my teeth and stuck to it, I would always see an explosive growth in my physical strength at that moment. If you don't believe me, you can have a try. Although Zhang Tai's words were half true and half false and contained a little bit of mischief, Zhang Tai expressed it very seriously. If the two guys truly trusted him and wanted to experience this very promising vocation, it would have nothing to do with Zhang Tai. Certainly, one could get stronger through doing labor work, however, the amount of physical strength one could gain would depend on their fortune as well as their efforts. Zhang Tai couldn't help but laugh inwardly as he mumbled in his heart, if you could enjoy a leakless fruit every week like me, then you would also see a rapid growth in your strength. These past few days, Zhang Tai would dig in the mines early in the morning before transferring the useless ores into the castle of black iron. Afterwards, he would return to the tree base and would spend the entire afternoon cultivating the. When comparing the cultivation of a fighting skill used by the monarchs of the Norman Empire to a bit of food that could only alleviate hunger, everyone knew which was more important, and Zhang Tai was no exception. Presently, Barley and the other members of the Hitplane Brotherhood had managed to dig 5 deep pits and had set more than 20 small traps made from twigs and stones. They had become increasingly proficient at setting traps. The power of their traps was put on full display as beasts would absolutely succumb to the fishy scent from the fish guts and the deep traps. Because of their traps, the Hitplane Brotherhood also gradually became famous among the students attending this survival training, while some of the other fellows had begun to learn how to set traps from them. After handing over the ores, Zhang Tai had received his rations and was prepared to return to the tree base, but right as he was about to step away, he saw a blue flag that could be seen from miles away hanging at the top of Wild Wolf Castle. A blue flag indicated that a foreign commercial transportation team had reached Wild Wolf Castle, and at the same time, the flag signaled that the students could come to Wild Wolf Castle to exchange items with the commercial team. On the 20th day since the start of the survival training, the commercial transportation team that had set off from Black Hot City had finally arrived at Wild Wolf Castle. Their arrival made many people excited, as it meant that they could sell their items to the commercial team as well as purchase necessities. As expected, the square of Wild Wolf Castle had already become boisterous, as many people surrounded the 3 transportation vehicles parked on one side of the square. Even Zhang Tai pushed his way inside the crowd. It was the first time for Zhang Tai to see such a transportation vehicle used in the wild. These vehicles were different than the public transport used in Black Hot City. These transportation vehicles that were used in the wild looked strange, as each of them looked like an ugly grasshopper. The vehicle had 2 low carriages, and its head was like a miniature, round locomotive that was embedded in a square building block, beside which was a tall chimney that was eye-catching. The wheels under its head were composed of 2 parts, continuous tracks at the front and solid tires in the back. On the second part of its head was a coal bunker. Every one of the wild transportation vehicles was more than 20 m in length. Aside from the onlookers, there were people who were unloading crates one after the other, which quickly occupied the space, turning them into trading platforms. After that, they opened the crates one by one and directly displayed them in front of the public. Most of the things contained in the crates were standard military rations from Black Hot City. Aside from the standard military rations, there were also some dried milk slices, dried meat, and sausages in the crates as well as some biological products used to make experiments. An exclamation reverberated from the horny students next to one wild transportation vehicle at the side. Hearing their exclamations, Zhang Tai pushed his way over and became frightened at the sight before him *CK. When the crates were opened, shiny knives and pikes were put on display, greatly exciting the horny students so much that they began to immediately drool. Everyone, please take out everything you have, including hides, herbal medicine, crystal sand, and the other strange things that you don't recognize. As long as you have something good, then you can exchange it with anything here, a manager of the commercial transportation team jumped onto several crates and shouted loudly into a speaker made from a rolled-up iron sheet, "Those who want to exchange your hides, move over there. Those who want to exchange you herbal medicines, move to the middle. Those who want to exchange your crystal sand and other eccentric things, come to me. Hurry up, what are you waiting for?" Hearing his words, many people became excited. The girls ran towards the inner castle, while the boys ran towards Wild Wolf Valley. When he thought of the wolf hides, Zhang Tai was also a bit moved. Seeing the goods brought by the commercial transportation team, Zhang Tai also prepared to go back to bring those hides acquired by the Hit Plane Brotherhood to exchange them for some necessities like food. For necessities like food, the more they had, the better. Before he left the square of Wild Wolf Castle, Zhang Tai couldn't help but to look back at those shiny weapons. The knives and pikes lined up in rows had already been hung up in very eye-catching places. Zhang Tai became suspicious, as the commercial transportation teams had rarely brought weapons here in the past years. "I don't agree." When the square outside Wild Wolf Castle was noisy, a quarrel was occurring in the office of the Temporary Supervision Committee. Miss Chili, who had given Zhang Tai an unforgettable punishment in the small square, was angrily glaring at a businessman with a mustache who was as slim as a stick of bamboo and was wearing a bright, silk hat in the office. Since gooseneck grass and golden wolf marrow cannot be found in Wild Wolf Valley, if they want to collect gooseneck grass and golden wolf marrows, then the students would have to leave Wild Wolf Valley and enter deeper into the area between Wild Wolf Valley and the Crescent Prairie. However, that place is too far away from Wild Wolf Castle and there are numerous packs of wolves over there that could pose great dangers to the students attending the survival training. Chapter 94, Prelude. Facing this quarrel in the conference room of the Temporary Supervision Committee, many of the people inside the room remained silent, while Captain Curlin looked infuriated as the blue veins on his neck were moving up and down like miserable earthworms. In contrast, Mr. Zaram looked at the two people who were quarreling with a slightly gloomy expression. As for other teachers, some of them remained quiet, while others were whispering with the people beside them. Most of the teachers in the Temporary Supervision Committee protested against this mission. Everyone, the slim and tall man with the bright, silky hat swept his gaze over the others and said in a commanding voice, "I am not here to negotiate with you. I am only here to tell you that gooseneck grass and golden wolf marrow are materials that Master Obayan needs to refine medication that's urgently needed by the military of Black Hot City. Currently, the only place where we can acquire these two things is the Crescent Prairie." Coincidentally, the teams participating in the survival training happened to be at Wild Wolf Castle, making your group the closest to Crescent Prairie. Thus, the administration of Black Hot City had entrusted me the task of bringing you this order. For these students, this is just more training and a challenge. Do you want the brats to practice by risking their lives? Mr. Zaram sneered. In which year has the survival training been calm and resulted in no one losing their lives? The man with the silky hat rebutted calmly. Crescent Prairie is much more danger than Wild Wolf Valley because the wolves over there move in packs. Aside from that, there are LV2 golden wolves, which cannot be dealt with by the average student. If the administration of Black Hot City is in need of gooseneck grass and golden wolf marrow, then they can send someone else here to collect them. There is no need to make the students do something like this that would make them risk their lives. Captain Curlin's single eye glittered with a cold light. I have served in the military of Black Hot City for many years now, so how come I have never heard of Black Hot City's military being so extravagant that they're bringing along recovery medication? Perhaps it was because he had known about the one-eyed man's bad temper or because of the one-eyed man's strength, but the man with the silky hat became a bit reserved. However, he still spoke in a commanding tone, seemingly as if he didn't care that his lie had been revealed before the people in front of him. Captain Curlin, although we are not qualified to meddle in the matters of the management of the Black Hot City military, we clearly know what has been happening these past few days in the outside world. Now that the relationship between the Andaman Alliance, Black Hot City included, and the Sun Dynasty have become increasingly tense, no surplus military people could be spared. At the same time, several of the big figures need to reserve some recovery medication, thus Master Obayan has been busy recently. This is just a small matter, and I will just release some missions in the name of the Temporary Supervision Committee. Since my superior has already agreed to this, I will be responsible for the details, and what you guys need to do is simply to coordinate with me. As he said this, the man with the silky hat sneered, showing a typical face of a villain. Of course, I know you are respected by the students attending this survival training, and I also know that most of them would follow your instructions. If anyone here wants to give me trouble during this mission, then feel free to do so. However, if I cannot complete this mission, then I will faithfully report what had happened here to Master Abayan and the administration of Black Hot City. Hey, at that time, you might not be able to deal with that person like you did with me. Hearing of Master Abayan and the current situation in the Andaman Alliance, everyone became silent. Master Abayan was the chief medical pharmacist of Black Hot City. He was a big figure with a great load of power and had a name that could greatly pressure everyone presently here. For the Andaman Alliance, the situation has been deteriorating for the past few days because of the reappearance of the Red Scarf burglars, who had caused troubles and then disappeared. The Red Scarf burglars had suddenly appeared and assaulted Lance City, one of the other cities in the Andaman Alliance. After causing a huge number of casualties and damages, they had once again escaped. Although they were chased by the guards of Lance City, they disappeared at the border between the Andaman Alliance and the Sun Dynasty. As for the guards who were chasing them, they were completely surrounded by the border army of the Sun Dynasty and were wiped out. At the sight of the several photos of the corpses of the guards from Lance City in the territory of the Sun Dynasty was rather furious as they condemned the Andaman Alliance for destroying the peace between the two parties by trespassing the border of the Sun Dynasty and starting a war. In response to this, the Sun Dynasty's military had already started to gather at the border. Everyone knew that this was a scheme, but so what? This was not something that they could change in the least. Besides the Norman Empire, the Sun Dynasty had also finally revealed its intentions of wanting to occupy the Andaman Alliance. Hearing this news had already caused the entire Andaman Alliance to be frightened. It's just several golden wolves and a few wolf packs. It isn't too bad, as it's possible that the students would have to face the Norman Empire and the Sun Dynasty, seeing as how no one had uttered a single word, the man with the silky hat added. Every student is free to make their own decision during the survival training. Nobody is allowed to force them to do anything, not even the administration of Black Hot City and Master Abayan. Captain Curlin fixed his gaze onto the man with the silky hat. This is our bottom line. Heh. Don't worry. I believe that there are some students out there that would cooperate with me without me having to force them. The man with the silky hat sneered with confidence. 10 minutes later, standing by the windowsill of the outer castle, at the sight of the increasing number of students in front of the mission notice below the outer castle, Captain Curlin angrily slammed his fist onto the granite windowsill, causing a large piece of stone to fall from the windowsill. Turning his head, Captain Curlin stared at Mr. Zaram, who looked a bit gloomy. Zaram, you have the best brain here. You tell me, because of the events that had happened within the month, have all the big figures already prepared to retreat? There's no need to explain how a lion would eat a rabbit. Those were the words Marshal Lin Chongjiang, the leader and governor of the Northern Border Army of the Norman Empire, gave when the Foreign Ministry of the Norman Empire inquired him. Marshal Lin Chongjiang had ordered the Foreign Ministry of the Norman Empire to pass along his words without missing a single one, and that is what the Foreign Ministry of the Norman Empire did. Mr. Zaram also sneered. Previously, the lords of the Andaman Alliance thought that they could just curse the Norman Empire as usual as they used the event that had transpired in Black Hot City to finally solve the dispute, while at the same time they would steadily make money. However, nobody could have expected that the Norman Empire didn't even have the patience to do superficial things and had instead directly shown their intention to attack Black Hot City. Seeing their intentions, it's within expectations that those fellows who only care about their own business would prepare to escape for their lives. Recovery medication? That's bullsh*t. Even when others want to chop off their heads, they're still hurriedly trying to gather some recovery medication. Even when they're going to lose their lives, they're still thinking about making money. The reason that Black Hot City could not send out enough people to collect gooseneck grass and golden wolf marrow lies in the low compensation. If they could raise the compensation by 3 to 5 times, then there would definitely be a great number of pioneers and adventurers who would like to make extra gains in the Crescent Prairie by collecting gooseneck grass and golden wolf marrow, both of which are not highly valuable in the least. If they had truly increased the compensation, then the turn to make a profit would never have belonged to Samira, that fellow who's always looking for an opportunity to be promoted. If they had truly increased the compensation, then they would not cause the students attending the survival training here to have to take on such great risks. Saying this, Mr. Zaram heaved a deep sigh. Previously, we wanted the students to be able to safely complete the survival training as well as leaving them a good memory, but now, it seems that it is impossible. As he said this, Mr. Zaram turned around and solemnly looked at Captain Curlin. When this survival training ends, I will resign and leave Black Hot City. You want to leave? Captain Kurlan looked at Zaram with wide-opened eyes. I have been thinking it over these past few days. Can't you see it? Chaos will soon arrive. The big figures in the Sun Dynasty, the Norman Empire, and even in the entire Blackson human corridors have already made various preparations for the future. Perhaps in the next 3 years, 5 years, or even a decade, the Third Holy War between humans and the demons will break out. When that time comes, tens or hundreds of billions of people would turn into corpses as numerous countries and cities will be burned to ruins. However, nobody knows how long the Third Holy War would last, and neither do they know whether humans would exist after it. In such troubled times, people will see no bright future by following those who only care about their small business. If I want to find safety, then I will have to find a bigger person since I don't want to be cannon fodder for those fellows with the silky hats. What about you? Do you want to go with me? How about leaving together? Captain Kurlan frowned as he was currently in an internal struggle. Because of what had happened today, he became frustrated when he connected the events that had happened in Black Hot City and the Andaman Alliance, causing his over 10 years of loyalty towards the management of Black Hot City to waver. Given what Zaram had said, Captain Kurlan also sensed the aggression from the words of Lin Chongjiang, the commander-in-chief of the Northern Border Army who had infuriated all the soldiers who were still hot-blooded and wanted to repel the Norman Empire's invasion of Black Hot City. But, what was the Parliament of the Andaman Alliance doing? What was Black Hot City doing? Neither of them had declared war against the Norman Empire's invasion nor were they prepared to fight to the death. Instead, they were quarreling with each other. In the Parliament of the Andaman Alliance, there was a great number of people who were shouting loudly to transfer the testimonies and physical evidence collected from the incident from several days ago when the Nyoman business group colluded with the Red Scarf burglars to Andaman City. They had requested to hold a Motherf**King hearing in the Parliament, and Black Hot City had become flustered and agreed to their request since they wanted to work together to prolong the amount of time they had to prepare for their fight against the Norman Empire. Such a performance had really made Captain Kurlan disappointed. At the same time, the Andaman Alliance's timidness was fully exposed. The people who only cared about counting gold coins and making small business might be able to live well in a peaceful age. However, in troubled times such as now, they could only be a piece of fat on the kneading board that would be freely chopped by others. Are you still thinking about Miss Dana? Are you still afraid that that great beauty isn't ready to go out with you? Zaram put it straightforwardly, completely hitting the mark at what Captain Kurlan was concerned about. Hearing him mention Miss Dana, Captain Kurlan's face instantly blushed. He then rebutted like a kid, so what? I have already saved up enough money. I can immediately buy a house near Bright Avenue that's more than 100 square meters. Wow, how romantic you are. You are truly a God-created couple. Zaram showed a strange smile. ****, Captain Kurlan threw a punch towards Zaram. Having long been prepared, Zaram instantly slid to the side and exited through the door, causing Captain Kurlan to fail to hit him. Trust me, Kurlan, you two are not suitable for each other. Before leaving, Zaram told Captain Kurlan seriously. Nonsense. I feel that Miss Dana treats me well. Captain Kurlan stuck to rebut. That's just your misconception. Why are you saying that? Have you ever heard of a wild goose falling in love with a bear? After saying this, without even glancing at Captain Kurlan's infuriated face, Zaram quickly escaped. I have to keep an eye on that man with the silky hat. If he goes too far, then I'm afraid I'll have to give him some trouble. Luckily, my students are all clever. I hope your students are as rational as mine. Chapter 95, Making Trouble. When Zhang Tai along with Doug and Barley returned to the small square with a large amount of items, he found that the square was many times more boisterous than when he had left. In front of the several exchange points, there were groups of students standing in lines as they held onto the items they were planning to exchange with the stuff brought by the commercial transportation team. Zhang Tai and the other members of the Hit Plane Brotherhood had mainly brought hides. They had brought 5 wolf hides, 3 of which were hunted by Zhang Tai, a hedgehog hide, and 2 rabbit hides. Although these hides were not too valuable, they could still be exchanged for a lot of food. Although the hides had been tanned, they still released a weird smell in the tree base. Thus if they were able to sell off these hides this time, then it would allow their tree base to smell a little better. Bighead, what do you want to exchange your 3 wolf hides for? Barley asked. Just exchange them all for rations. Don't you need money? These items could easily sell for more than 20 silver coins. We don't need money at the moment. What we need right now is food, which is why I prefer to exchange for food. As long as we pass this survival training, all is well. Zhang Tai smiled. Barley glanced at Zhang Tai with a strange look. He didn't know what had happened to Zhang Tai. Barley felt that Zhang Tai had been more relaxed when dealing with things. His decisions carried a bit of laziness, but it was mixed with braveness and decisiveness. Could this be an effect of the Iron Blood Fist? No, it's not like that. Barley couldn't convince himself at all, as they were all practicing the Iron Blood Fist using the same book, so how could Zhang Tai improve so much faster than the others? Not to mention that Barley had also noticed that Zhang Tai was changing spiritually, but Barley was confused at how Zhang Tai, a guy who only dug in the mines and practiced the Iron Blood Fist skill together with them every day, could make a spiritual breakthrough. Is doing mining work that effective? Should I give it a try myself? Fine, then do whatever you want. Doug and I are enough to queue up here. Hearing Fatty Barley's words, Doug, who was standing beside him, also patted his chest with a grin. During the past week, Doug had gotten used to flattering Zhang Tai. There truly wasn't a need for 3 people to line up here, so seeing that Doug and Barley were already standing in line, Zhang Tai then decided to wander around the small square. Seeing that there were many onlookers near the gate of Wild Wolf Castle, Zhang Tai also moved there. The moment Zhang Tai drew close, he heard several guys fervently talking about the missions on the notice board. If only I could get some gooseneck grass. 1 stick of gooseneck grass is almost worth more than 1 gold coin. That amount could be exchanged for a good machete or a sword. There's also the golden wolf. If one kills a golden wolf, then you could acquire the marrow in the spine of the wolf, which is even more valuable than a stick of gooseneck grass. Not to mention a good machete or sword, you could even exchange it for 3 kilograms of meat and 7 kilograms of rations. If I could kill a golden wolf, then I wouldn't have to worry about my life for the next couple of weeks. But, it's not that easy to get those items. Haven't you read the notice? We can only get them by the border of Wild Wolf Valley and the Crescent Prairie, which is 30 kilometers away. I have heard that there are dozens of times more wolf packs over in the Crescent Prairie when compared to Wild Wolf Valley. Facing dozens or even hundreds of wolves, we could easily be torn apart, leaving not even a single bone behind. Hearing their words, Zhang Tai slightly frowned before pushing his way through the crowd and arriving below the notice board. At the top of the notice board were the missions on hunting golden wolves and picking gooseneck grass. Aside from the notices, they had especially hung 2 large pictures, one of the golden wolf and the other the grassneck grass, respectively to the left and right of the notice boards, ensuring that everyone knew what they looked like. A man with a silky hat that was as slim as a stick of bamboo was inciting the onlookers below the notice board as his saliva sprayed everywhere in the air. Master Abayan is the chief medicinal pharmacist of Black Hot City, and he needs golden wolf marrow and gooseneck grass since both are raw materials needed to concoct recovery medication. Do you know what recovery medication is? Recovery medication is a marvelous medicine that can allow the fighters of Black Hot City to heal and recover their strength as soon as possible after being wounded on the battlefield. At this moment, the man with the silky hat raised his hands and exclaimed, "Brave, young men. Do you know what's currently happening in Black Hot City? The evil Norman Empire has already been showing their machetes towards Black Hot City and your family. Soon, Black Hot City could very well end up in a bloody fight with the army of the Norman Empire. For the sake of Black Hot City and your relatives who may join the army of Black Hot City, please go and bring back golden wolf marrows and gooseneck grass. Every stick of gooseneck grass could possibly save your relative's life." Master Abayan, the revered chief medicinal pharmacist of Black Hot City, is now in need of these 2 items. Brave young men, brave men from Black Hot City, take your machetes and swords and march on towards the Crescent Prairie. Use the corpses of the golden wolves and the golden neck grass to display your braveness. Look! Those beauties are watching you present your braveness. The words from the man with the silky hat were extremely aggressive. Combined with his passionate voice and the mood, he had created a splendid performance. As a result, many people among the onlookers became excited and were ferociously discussing with each other, as it was the first time for everyone to hear about what was happening between the Norman Empire and Black Hot City. "Tell us, what is happening between the Norman Empire and Black Hot City right now?" a young man among the onlookers asked loudly. "You guys really don't know? Haven't your teachers told you about it?" Several days ago, a very terrible incident had happened in Black Hot City. The northern border army of the Norman Empire have been grooming their war horses and training their troops in preparations to invade Black Hot City, your hometown. That's why Black Hot City is currently in its weakest state. This is the most critical moment for the brave men of Black Hot City to stand out and do something for the sake of their hometown. At this moment, the crowd became restless. Since they have stayed here for almost 20 days now, many of them truly did not know what was happening in Black Hot City. Having been incited by Samira, everyone became restless. Within the crowd, Zhang Tai frowned, as he instinctively felt that there was something wrong with the words spoken by the man with the silky hat. Although the others didn't know what recovery medication was, Zhang Tai certainly knew what it was, as he had worked in Donder's grocery store for a long time and that store even had 2 of such items. According to Donder, in Black Hot City, even the price of the lowest quality recovery medication would never drop below 10 gold coins. This was simply something that was never meant to be available to the commoners and common soldiers. However, this bastard had lied to them and was inciting them to go get these 2 items in the Crescent Prairie, causing them to lose their mind. It was obvious that he had bad intentions towards them. Sweeping his gaze over the flustered students, Zhang Tai instantly saw Zaram frowning and gloomily glaring at the man who was gritting his teeth and loudly inciting the student. Rolling his eyes, an idea came to Zhang Tai's mind. He silently retreated back into the crowd and lowered his body before shouting loudly, "Everyone, don't listen to him. That guy is telling a lie. He wants us to be cannon fodder in Crescent Prairie. Even the most common of recovery medication would cost more than 10 gold coins per vial and is simply something our relatives cannot afford. We should listen to our teachers. If something has happened in Black Hot City, then our teachers would let us know. Don't listen to that strange fellow's provocative words." Although these young, horny students were always impulsive, it wasn't as if there was something wrong with their minds. Hearing Zhang Tai's warning, many of the horny students realized that they didn't have a reason to trust this strange fellow. At the very least, was there a relationship between a recovery medication that was worth more than 10 gold coins and their relatives? Why should they have to risk their lives in the Crescent Prairie? Standing below the notice board, Samira was so angry that his face had even begun to twitch. Earlier, he was waiting for a great number of students to help him make money, but unexpectedly, someone had jumped out to give him trouble and had exposed him. Who? Who said that? Come out. Samira hysterically growled with a vicious expression while his eyes swept over the crowd of many students before him. After stealthily moving to another place, Zhang Tai pinched his nose and shouted again, "That fellow gets exposed and now he's infuriated. Brothers, look at his terrifying triangular eyes that are in the shape of a poisonous snake's head. That's definitely what a sinister person looks like. A kind-hearted person would not have such terrifying, triangular eyes. Tell your friends not to be cheated by that guy. Don't help him make money by risking your lives. We will stay in Wild Wolf Valley and never go to the Crescent Prairie." Hearing Zhang Tai's words, the horny students began to fervently discuss and many of them had even begun to study the shape of Samira's eyes. Descriptive words like terrifying triangular eyes, the shape of a poisonous snake's head, and how a sinister person looks like were really lethal. At this time, Samira became so furious that he jumped up from the ground and his face had turned purple. However, facing the doubting eyes, he had no other choice but to force a smile. As the students were noisily discussing, Zhang Tai silently slid out from the crowd and went to meet up with Barley and Doug. Seeing what was happening in the crowd, Zaram's expression was really resplendent. Since the moment Zhang Tai had spoken, he had already realized that it was Zhang Tai's voice. What Zhang Tai had performed just now had really shocked him. He would never have expected that Zhang Tai could see through Samira's lies and would alert the onlookers by shouting in public, all the while not being caught. Zhang Tai had done everything that Zaram had wanted to and had even done it perfectly. As Zhang Tai was leaving, those excited, horny animals had already begun to discuss Samira's looks and his terrifying, triangular eyes. Zhang Tai had exchanged his 3 wolf hides for a bit more than 4 kilograms of rations, though Barley said that Zhang Tai had suffered a loss, as the price of the 3 wolf hides were more than 20 silver coins and the commercial transportation team had only given Zhang Tai 10 silver coins worth of rations. Seeing this, Doug had also become furious. Despite this, Zhang Tai didn't particularly care about it. Instead, he placated Barley and Doug. As they were about to leave Wild Wolf Castle, Zhang Tai had caught sight of Berwick. Surrounded by a great number of people, Berwick walked over high-spiritedly, while every person following him was holding on to several wolf hides. With a casual glance, one could see approximately 100 wolf hides. Everybody gave way to Berwick. At that moment, Berwick was extremely eye-catching. However, at the sight of Berwick's calm face that hid his pride, Zhang Tai suddenly thought of the man with the silky hat. Could Berwick be working with Samira? A thought suddenly came to Zhang Tai's mind. What is happening in Black Hot City? Has the letter I sent to the military of Black Hot been received? Did it catch the eyes of the management of Black Hot City? Are Mom, Dad, and elder brother okay? What that guy had said still silently shocked Zhang Tai's mind. Soon after Zhang Tai, Barley, and Doug had left Wild Wolf Castle, the temporary supervision committee, who was responsible for this survival training, posted a notice in the square of Wild Wolf Castle, which introduced what had happened between Black Hot City and the Andaman Alliance in the past weeks. All the horny students learned that many big events had happened in Black Hot City and Andaman Alliance within the month they had attended the survival training. Knowing that the Norman Empire and the Sun Dynasty were bearing their sharp fangs so quickly towards Black Hot City and the Andaman Alliance, everybody was startled. Could it be that a war between the Andaman Alliance, the Norman Empire, and the Sun Dynasty was waiting for their graduation? A special atmosphere started to cover Wild Wolf Valley. Chapter 96, A Small Figure's Selfishness. On the highest point of Wild Wolf Castle, besides the blue flag, there was another flag. There was a red flag raised up, which meant that important news or a notice had been released. Even from several kilometers away from Wild Wolf Castle, everyone could see that red flag. On the evening when Zhang Tai had sent back Pandora and a group of girls who had wanted to form a team with the Hitplane Brotherhood to Wild Wolf Castle, Zhang Tai had already known of the contents of that notice. Compared to the amazed expressions of the other members of the Hitplane Brotherhood, Zhang Tai had already mentally prepared himself for the arrival of this piece of news. While everyone in Wild Wolf Valley was noisily discussing the situation in Black Hot City, not a single one of them knew that Zhang Tai was the one who had accidentally triggered the entire incident in Black Hot City. This event was the hottest topic both in Wild Wolf Valley and Black Hot City. As for the identity of the one that had sent out the letter which started the entire incident in Black Hot City, nobody was able to give an answer. However, the government of Black Hot City did exert all their efforts in an attempt to find this person, but in the end, it was still not enough to reverse the flow of time back to the day when the mysterious person had sent that letter through the mailbox by the post office located in the city square of Black Hot City. It had already turned into a secret that would never be revealed. It was only when this event had broken out in Black Hot City that everyone knew that the Red Scarf burglars, who were well prepared and were conspiring with the Numuan business group to take over Black Hot City both internally and externally, had been lurking in a hidden location that was less than 150 kilometers away from Black Hot City. When the Numuan business group was swept out by the army of Black Hot City and had schemes exposed, the Red Scarf burglars retreated from their hiding spot like a pack of wolves, and when they had reappeared, they caused a disaster in Lance City and involved the Sun Dynasty in this chaos, leading them to confronting the Andaman Alliance. Mysterious Warner, that was the nickname that Zhang Tai had received when the incident broke out in Black Hot City. Some said that the mysterious Warner, the person who had started the incident in Black Hot City, was a bandit that was part of the Red Scarf burglars. Some said that this mysterious Warner was a top fighter who lived in seclusion in Black Hot City, while there were also some who said that this mysterious Warner was a political enemy of Marshal Lin Chongjiang, the governor of the northern border of the Norman Empire. There were all kinds of speculations about the mysterious Warner. However, no one had guessed that the mysterious Warner was actually just an ordinary youth from an ordinary national male middle school situated in Black Hot City that was currently attending a survival training in Wild Wolf Valley. Not to mention, the same youth had even almost destroyed an influential figure's intention to obtain recovery medication in Black Hot City. Sometimes, there were rumors that were grounded with strong logic, and there were also various possibilities that seemed true. However, truth was something that was always extremely dramatic, as the people's daily lives and the earthly world doesn't give one the opportunity to be rational and logical. This was just like a famous story on the well-known butterfly effect. 1. There was once a blacksmith who had dropped a nail on the ground, which later injured a horse's hoof. Because the horse was wounded, the knight who rode it lost a battle, which directly influenced the war between two nations, finally leading to the destruction of a country. Zhang Tai had learned this theory in science class at school. It was only when he had heard of the incident in Black Hot City did Zhang Tai realize that what he had rightly done was drop the nail that wounded the horse's hoof. After walking into Huck, who had already been killed by Zhang Tai, near the railway station, he had changed so many things. The nail had truly changed some of the details and slowed the development of the situation. However, the Norman Empire and the Sun Dynasty were already rolling without stop towards the Andaman Alliance and Black Hot City, much like huge wheels with unstoppable momentum. Just the start of the huge, rolling wheels had already created great waves in Wild Wolf Valley. Many of the people here had to serve in the army after graduation, which meant that they would have to directly face these two huge forces, the Norman Empire and the Sun Dynasty, and perhaps they may even fight the army of these two countries on the battlefield. Thus all the students attending the survival training in Wild Wolf Valley felt as if a huge burden had been placed on their fates. Facing the incoming and uncertain future, many people felt confused and frightened. Tonight, with the exception of Zhang Tai, everyone else in the Hit Plane Brotherhood was trying their best to cultivate the basic skills of Iron Blood Fist. They continued to do so until they were all extremely fatigued and were gasping as they laid on the grass. In truth, Zhang Tai could actually stick to it for a while longer. However, when he saw Baghdad, with eyes fixed on him, practicing the lying tiger stake as the blue veins on his forehead especially stood out, Zhang Tai could only pretend to be exhausted before throwing himself onto the ground. 10 seconds after Zhang Tai had given up, Baghdad, who was no longer able to hold on, also heaved a deep sigh and ended his practice. For Baghdad, if he couldn't remain the strongest fighter in the Hit Plane Brotherhood, then it would be a great strike to his pride. 2 moons hung in the sky. One was a silver crescent, while the other was a pale blue full moon. One was big, while the other was small. The moonlight cascaded down and enveloped Wild Wolf Valley with a layer of a beautiful, pale blue, and white brilliance. Accompanied by the 2 moons, the stars in the sky looked particularly splendid. The cicadas on the dragonclaw trees were chirping, the crickets in the grass were tweeting, while the howls of the looming wolves drifted over. The entire Wild Wolf Valley was extremely tranquil. The members of the Hit Plane Brotherhood simply laid there and silently looked at the sky for more than 10 minutes. If I was killed on the battlefield, someone who is still alive among you must remember to hand over my pension to my family, since that amount of money could allow my 2 younger brothers to live a bit better. Sharwin silently opened his mouth. Sharwin was good in all aspects, except he was too pessimistic sometimes. You'd better stay alive. If you die, we would only use your pension to sleep with women and let your bastard dad and 2 younger brothers go to hell. Hista cursed. Bastard. Sharwin cursed in a low voice before he laughed out loudly. I heard the Ironhorn Army Group under the flagship of Lin Chongjiang, the governor of the Northern Border Army Group of Norman Empire, and the brilliant feathers of the Sun Dynasty are both composed of war maniacs and madmen. Do you think we might encounter them? Doug said dejectedly. Don't be that pessimistic. We should not be that unlucky to have to fight against the armies of the Norman Empire and the Sun Dynasty. As for the entire Andaman Alliance, those 2 countries are 2 superpowers, each of whom is much more powerful than the Andaman Alliance. Because of this great gap in force, if there truly is a battle with any one of the 2 countries, the Andaman Alliance would definitely lose. Since the wealthy big figures are definitely more afraid of death than us, I think that a war would not break out. For the Andaman Alliance, this is a war that they are doomed to lose, and they would never bet on this war at the risk of their own lives. 2 kids with the same strength might fight over a piece of candy, but a tough man would never fight a kid, let alone 2 tough men fighting a kid at the same time. Lying on the ground, Leet said so. I feel that Leet's words are reasonable. We don't need to feel that stressed. Barley added. Even if a war doesn't break out, the Andaman Alliance would still not have a bright future. In the history of Blacks in Human Clan Corridor, it has always consisted of at most 70 city-states. However, this number has been gradually decreasing. In the end, every city-state would see one of 2 outcomes. The first would be the emergence of a talented or mighty figure who would unite them all into a country. The other would be that the city-states would break apart and be annexed by the surrounding powers. For the Andaman Alliance, it doesn't have a talented or mighty figure, and under their eyes, the Norman Empire and the Sun Dynasty would never allow it to become a united country. Thus the final outcome for the Andaman Alliance and Black Hot City might be being annexed by either the Norman Empire or the Sun Dynasty. Once annexed, this region would face high coercion for at least the next few dozen years. If this matter cannot be settled through peaceful manners, then even if we don't die on the battlefields, we would not be able to live well in the future. Sharwin continued to speak in a pessimistic way. Hearing Sharwin's words, everyone became silent once again. No one rebutted, as they all knew that Sharwin was telling the heaviest and undeniable truth. So you're saying that even if we're not cannon fodder on the battlefield, we would be slaves after our country dies? Although the Andaman Alliance and Black Hot City cannot be considered a country, it's almost the same. Hista said dejectedly. For this event, I feel, it will be settled through peaceful means. Barley said in an unconfident and low voice. But, I have always felt that something is off. The Andaman Alliance, the Sun Dynasty, and the Norman Empire have maintained peace for over half a century, so why are they giving us trouble now at the same time? Doug suddenly hit the key point like an idiot. Not knowing the reason, when he heard Doug's words, Zhang Tai suddenly thought back to the squirrels that were busily storing pine nuts in the trees to survive through the winter. No matter what reason it is, if it is related to us, we will know about it sooner or later. That's why, we don't need to rack our brains on that matter, Baghdad gloomily said. The most important thing for us right now is to improve our own strength. As you know, in this age, people without strength will not have freedom. Only when we have strength could we control our own fate. If we are well practiced in the Iron Blood Fist skill, then why would we need to be concerned about these boring questions? Bighead, why are you silent? Aren't you worried? Lying on the ground, Barley turned his head and asked Zhang Tai. I think you are all right. But to tell you the truth, I don't really care about the future of Black Hot City and the Andaman Alliance too much. Perhaps it is because I am Chinese, a minority in Black Hot City of the Andaman Alliance. I am not able to assume any more responsibilities for the fate of the Andaman Alliance and Black Hot City. My family has already sacrificed one life for the Andaman Alliance and Black Hot City. No matter what, I do not want my family to sacrifice another life for them, and neither would I make such a sacrifice. I only have a few desires in my life. As long as my loved ones can live well, as long as I have enough money and beloved women, then I will be satisfied. Looking at the beautiful stars in the sky, Zhang Tai forced a smile. What happened in Black Hot City and the Andaman Alliance really shocked him a lot. Although he had changed the speed of the development to some degree, he realized he couldn't change the final outcome. At the very least, the fate of his loved ones have not changed at all. This was the cause of the feelings of frustrations and powerlessness that small figures would feel. Baghdad's words were true. Instead of hoping for the world to develop like your imagination, it was better to make yourself stronger, as this was true strength. In contrast, everything else was bullshit. For Zhang Tai himself, if he wanted to become powerful, he would have to depend on the castle of black iron and the small tree within. Although Zhang Tai had never thought that he was selfish, sometimes, the castle of black iron and the small tree brought Zhang Tai a sense of selfishness. If this age could be seen as a large wheel that was rolling forward, then Zhang Tai felt that, with the exception of himself, who was someone who could jump out of its path and stay in his own world, everyone else could only be chased by the large wheel that surged forth as they oozed sweat all over. The world where Zhang Tai stayed in was also a wheel that only belonged to Zhang Tai. Although it was very small, Zhang Tai could happily push it forward in a speed faster than the others. Soon after, the others would be far behind him and his world. Zhang Tai felt that he was truly a bit heartless. Although everyone else was concerned about the future of Black Hot City and the Andaman Alliance, he was just thinking about how many mining baskets filled with ores he should move into the castle of black iron in order to quickly increase the amount of basic energy storage inside. While everyone was worried about turning into slaves in the occupied areas in the future, Zhang Tai was thinking about his circumcision after the completion of the survival training. Damn it. It truly does not feel good to be a virgin among a group of horny students. Honestly, Zhang Tai really didn't think that the fate of the Andaman Alliance and Black Hot City was more important than his circumcision surgery. Am I selfish? If this is being selfish, then I prefer to be selfish. Who King decided that the future of the Andaman Alliance and Black Hot City is more important than my future? Who the CK decided that the sexual pleasures of the privileged figures are more important than my sexual pleasures? Who the CK decided that a small figure like me has to share difficulties with the big figures, but not the pleasures? CK, I will do what I can do and I will enjoy myself. So what? In the current situation, it was as if many naked people were struggling to rush forward in the snowfield in order to escape the snowstorm that was chasing them. In contrast, Zhang Tai was sitting inside the train and was eating hot pot, leaving the group of people behind along with the crack sounds made by the moving train. This was another lifestyle that had been brought by the castle of black iron and that small tree. If he didn't have the small tree and the castle of black iron, then Zhang Tai would have been just like them. He would have been a member of the people rushing forward in the snowfield as they tried to escape from the snowstorm that was chasing them. Fortunately, he had that small tree and the castle of black iron, allowing him to sit in the train to enjoy hot pot. If he could enjoy such a good treatment, then why not enjoy it? Anyone with a normal mind would make this choice. It was Zhang Tai's turn to be on duty for the first half of the evening tonight. Crouching in a pit on the tree, Zhang Tai watched and listened to the surroundings while visualizing an abacus in his mind as he practiced mental arithmetic using the abacus. He practiced various operations. He did addition and subtraction with numbers between 1 to 1000. He did multiplication with any two-digit numbers, any two-digit numbers with three-digit numbers, and any two-digit numbers with four-digit numbers. He had even done the reverse with division. Over the past few days, Zhang Tai hadn't given up on practicing mental arithmetics using the abacus, and as a result, he has made steady improvements to his calculation skills. Now, with just a glimpse, he would easily get the answer of any addition or subtraction problem within 3 digits, and any multiplication or division problem between two-digit numbers. Additionally, as a benefit of his boring yet self-gratifying training, his spiritual energy had also gradually increased. Compared to his spiritual energy when he had started the survival training, Zhang Tai's spiritual energy had already increased by about 2%. It was only when Barley had replaced him for the second half of the night did Zhang Tai climb back into his own hole to sleep. At the sight of Zhang Tai, Barley was also curious. While the others always looked extremely tired the morning after their duty, how come this guy becomes even more high-spirited when he finishes his duty? Could it be that he had adapted to the nightlife? After he finished practicing mental arithmetic using the abacus, Zhang Tai lied down, but he did not fall asleep. Instead, he silently injected his spiritual energy into the trouble reappearance fruit, leading to him entering another virtual world. It was the same dusk, the same valley, the same path, the same grass where the wolves had drilled out and charged towards him. Zhang Tai waved his dagger towards them. Several minutes later, the 3 wolves turned into corpses once again. Looking at that wound on his hand that was left by the sharp fang of one of the wolves, Zhang Tai shook his head. Boom! Everything turned into specks of lights. 1 minute later, after Zhang Tai injected his spiritual energy into that trouble reappearance fruit to activate the same scene once again, Zhang Tai entered it for the second time tonight. It was the same dusk, the same valley, the same path, and the same grass. This time, Zhang Tai changed his trick. Before the wolves had drilled out of the grass, Zhang Tai had already rushed into the grass to fight the 3 wolves with his dagger. However, after this trial, Zhang Tai realized that grass was more restrictive to humans than it was to wolves. In fact, the latter even had more advantages in the grass. The result of this fight was that Zhang Tai once again became afraid of death and pain. Zhang Tai then exited the scene and rushed inside 1 minute later. Zhang Tai repeated this process until his spiritual energy was exhausted. When he could no longer activate the trouble reappearance fruit, he fell asleep. The other members of the Hit Plane Brotherhood would never know that this guy sleeping beside them had already experienced 8 life-or-death fights with 3 wolves in a hidden place which only existed in Zhang Tai's mind within half an hour since he finished his duty. Through fighting many times, Zhang Tai had suffered less wounds than before, and the 3 wolves had died faster than before. Before he fell asleep, one last thought appeared in his mind: maybe I should jump into that deep hole left by the gold-eating boas again tomorrow and see what kind of feeling it will give. Chapter 97, Framed. Today, the news of Berwick leading his Male Lion Association, which was composed of a group of horny students from the 7th National Male Middle School, to cooperate with the Samira Business Group from Black Hawk City had become the biggest news in Wild Wolf Castle. They had marched towards Crescent Prairie to hunt golden wolves as well as to pick gooseneck grass. To support them, the Samira Business Group had provided Berwick's team several crates of rations and had also gifted Berwick a war blade, an entire set of armor, and several sets of equipment used to hunt wolves. With these items in hand, Berwick and his lackeys held a magnificent pledge ceremony in the square of Wild Wolf Castle. After the pledge ceremony, Berwick, like a general, led the group of more than 200 Male Lion Association members to march towards Crescent Prairie. Almost 1/5 of the students attending this survival training from the 7th National Male Middle School followed Berwick to prepare for the march towards Crescent Prairie. At this pledge ceremony, in the square, many girls screamed Berwick's name as their eyes were fixed on Berwick's fascinating smile and his brilliant blonde hair. Currently, Berwick had been so well known among the students attending this survival training that he was even regarded as the best one among all the students who were attending this survival training. Because of the magnificent scene, many of the horny students became hot-blooded, as even they had dreamed of being Berwick, someone who could enjoy the cheers from the girls. The news of Berwick leading his team on their march towards Crescent Valley to hunt the LV2 golden wolves and to forage for gooseneck grass, which were ingredients that could be used to save lives, was publicized in a heroic manner by the Samira's business group as they called it a righteous action, causing Berwick to turn into a hero as well as the most brilliant star in this survival training in the eyes of many girls. While Berwick became the star in the eyes of all the other students, Zhang Tai, who was like a miner, was watching Buick's brilliance as he stood on one side of the square. He had been wearing the same mining clothes for 3 consecutive days. Mining was something which made it hard for people to remain clean and tidy, and as such, Zhang Tai's clothes and face both looked dirty. After working hard for an entire morning, the sweat covering his forehead and temples would sketch several clear mud marks onto his face. Simply by being close to him, girls with a keen sense of smell would be able to smell his sweat. Compared to the general like Berwick, who was equipped with an entire set of armor, Zhang Tai was absolutely a peasant. There truly was a sharp contrast between them. Zhang Tai looked at those high-spirited, horny students of the Male Lion Association with eyes that contained a slight gloominess and sympathy as he cursed inwardly, idiots. Berwick's ambitions and his mercilessness had both shocked Zhang Tai as well as made him alert. Because a golden wolf was a LV2 beast, even Berwick, a LV1 soldier who had ignited his shrine burning point, should know that no matter how well the members of the Male Lion Association could cooperate with each other, if they wanted to keep the marrow fresh when they sent it to Black Hot City, then they would have to surround the golden wolves before hunting them. If a group of LV0 soldiers were to do this, then there would definitely be casualties. Despite this, Berwick was still prepared to use his influence and the trust placed in him by those horny students to go through with this. This meant that those horny students were merely stepping stones in his heart, ones which could be sacrificed at any time. If Glaze was a ferocious wolf who was ready to bare his fangs, then Berwick would be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Berwick was more sinister and more terrifying, as he had hidden his ambitions and mercilessness, pretending to be harmless among a pack of sheep, thus he looked much more dangerous and was able to confuse others. Zhang Tai didn't intend to be something great nor did he plan to be some *King righteous messenger. He felt that even if he spoke up at this moment, it would not work on those horny guys, as the blood had already rushed to their head. Anyone who was able to capture a golden wolf or pick a stalk of gooseneck grass would be rewarded with an excellent war blade. Although this compensation given by the Samira business group was very cheap, for many students, it still made the blood rush to their heads. Exchanging one's life for a weapon that would be used to serve others at the cost of one's life, Zhang Tai truly looked down on such compensation and felt as if it was an insult to his intelligence. However, facing such compensation, some of the horny students looked extremely excited, which really caused Zhang Tai to be at a loss for words. Perhaps those horny students still dreamt of being referred to Master Abayan by the Samira business group if they performed well, letting him know of their name and perhaps allowing them to become his assistant or apprentice. To become an assistant or an apprentice of Master Abayan was a rare opportunity that was akin to taking a step towards heaven. There was no person who didn't want to become the next Li Shizhen, a student from the 7th National Male Middle School from many years ago who had been chosen to be an apprentice of the Pharmacists Association. However, because this promise was made by the man with the silky hat named Samira, Zhang Tai completely treated it as bullshit*. Nevertheless, there were still many people who trusted his words. Those fellows didn't realize that even if Samira's words were true, Berwick would be the one to obtain the opportunity to be promoted and not them. The fact was that after a war, there would be piles of corpses from soldiers that were as high as a mountain, yet the only one who would earn reputation and praise would be the general. In Zhang Tai's eyes, this expedition was a trap which used the weaknesses of human nature. This trap was a huge pit which was dug on the basis of trust and greed and was also the most common trap. Clear-minded people would be able to see through it at the first sight, however, there would always be people who would jump in, and Zhang Tai would not be able to stop them. He felt as if he had already done what he should have done. What the others decided to do would be their choice. At any moment, he is not obliged to sacrifice himself for the safety of others. Besides yourself, nobody is responsible for your life. Horny students, I hope that you will learn to understand the motto of our school, Welcome to the Age of Black Iron. After having stayed at school for 3 years, it seems that you have yet to understand that line. It seems that it's just like what Donder had said. In this age, the thing that is the blackest and the most iron-like is the human heart, Zhang Tai mumbled inwardly. At the end of the pledge ceremony, standing on that temporary platform, Berwick, who always forced a smile and spoke in a very energetic fashion, looked back several times. When he realized that none of the teachers from the temporary supervision committee were present and were not even watching their performance from the walls of the outer castle, Berwick became a bit disappointed. There's no need to be disappointed. A recommendation from your school is not more valuable than being known by Master Abayan. Seemingly as if he had seen through the slight disappointment in Berwick's eyes, Samira consoled him in a low voice that was only audible to Berwick. Whether or not the military academy of the Andaman Alliance would still exist in the future is uncertain. However, no matter who rules Blackhawk City, Master Abayan would still be able to garner absolute respect. As a smart individual, you should understand what I mean. I know what to do, Berwick replied in low voice. Good luck then. I almost forgot to tell you. There's a student from your school named Glaze that reached out to me because he also wanted to get this opportunity to be introduced to Master Abayan. As for whether there are more great figures in your school who dream for this opportunity, this is something that I do not know. That's why, young man, you need to work hard. Only the most excellent people would be able to obtain this opportunity. Samira added. I will try my best. Hearing Samira's words, Berwick's face slightly became stiff before catching sight of Zhang Tai, who was not eye-catching, in the distance. Although Zhang Tai was not eye-catching, his mining basket certainly was. At the sight of Zhang Tai, Berwick's eyes became filled with excitement. He then turned and told Samira with a smile, I forgot to tell you. That person in the crowd who gave you trouble the other day was Zhang Tai, that black-haired brat with the mining basket on his back. I've heard that he is already a LV-1 soldier and that Captain Kurlan and Zaram seem to have high hopes for him. The corner of Samira's eyes twitched a couple of times. Even now, Samira still felt that someone in the crowd was cursing him with words like poisonous snake's head and triangular eyes. Samira casually looked at Zhang Tai, who was far away, while forcing a smile on his skinny, horse-like face. Well, I know what to do. Happy collaboration! Happy collaboration! After the pledge ceremony, Berwick and his followers left the small square of Blackhawk City in a heroic manner, resulting in the noisy square finally regaining its calm. The moment Berwick's team left, the Temporary Supervision Committee released a notice to hold a bonfire party in the small square tonight. According to the notice, the girls will be holding performances like singing and dancing during the bonfire party. Hearing that news, many horny students became excited. Unknown why, at the sight of this notice, Zhang Tai knew the intention of the teachers of the Temporary Supervision Committee. It seemed that they did not want the students to risk their lives in the Crescent Prairie. The square became boisterous at this time. After reading the notice, the moment those horny students, including Zhang Tai, were to leave, a person walked towards Zhang Tai, and as he passed by, he walked into Zhang Tai's shoulder. With his spiritual energy having increased by sevenfold, Zhang Tai's senses were also sharp. The moment that person's shoulder bumped it to his, Zhang Tai sensed something new in his mining basket. If he was average like before, then he never would have noticed something new inside his mining basket, as the mining basket itself was already heavy and even had a hoe inside. Mother **cur, how could they be that bored? Who's still doing childish pranks like opening my mining basket and throwing stuff inside at the sight of the mining basket on my back? I have already stopped playing that prank of throwing trash in other people's hood when I was 8 years old. The moment Zhang Tai turned around to see who that bastard was, he heard someone shout loudly from several steps behind him. My purse! Where's my purse? It was here just now, so how could it disappear in such a short period of time? Thief! It must have been stolen. F***ck. Zhang Tai's crisis mechanism was launched within 0.1 seconds. **T, I was set up. F***ck those bastards who want to set me up by throwing that item into my mining basket. Since it was his mining basket, even if he had 100 mouths, he would still not be able to clearly explain his innocence. When yellow mud fell onto one's crotch, it would still be regarded as **T, even if it wasn't. Once he was caught by those guys, it would be difficult for Zhang Tai to explain himself, thus he had to instantly leave, only then would he be able to gain the initiative of this battle. Immediately, Zhang Tai's instinct to escape was deducted once again. Without even turning back, Zhang Tai had already surged forward with large strides like a leopard at almost the moment he heard the shouts as he ran towards the foot of the mountain with his maximum speed. After that guy shouted, he felt spirited from having attracted the attention from those around him and was prepared to make a performance. However, when he raised his head, he realized that the brat in front of him had already disappeared. At the same time, the other helpers who were to surround Zhang Tai and capture him had also become dumbfounded. Where's that brat? How did he escape? Weren't we just supposed to wait here and capture him along with the purse in his mining basket? Wasn't that what was supposed to happen? This doesn't make sense. Purse, my purse, this time, the man truly shrieked with a high pitch. Finally, by the time someone noticed Zhang Tai, he had already been over 100 meters away and was running towards the downward path. That brat is the thief. Hurry up and arrest him. Arrest the thief. The square instantly became noisy as a great number of people rushed towards Zhang Tai. Standing from afar, the corner of Samira's eye twitched. He had never expected that such a performance, which should have been very successful, would turn out like this. For commoners like Zhang Tai, if he realized that he was not the thief, encountering such an incident, wouldn't he simply turn around and have a look out of curiosity? But how could that brat escape even faster than a rabbit when he heard that shout? Was that a reaction a commoner would have? What kind of freak is that brat? Purse, my purse. When he thought of his purse, Samira jumped up. Bastard, that was my purse. Chapter 98, Smart Argument. No matter whether one was being chased by wolves or a group of people, especially when it included some LV3 and LV4 individuals, it would still not be a pleasant feeling. Seeing the distance between him and the other people behind him gradually narrowing, Zhang Tai was forced to use all the strength he could muster as a soon-to-be LV2 warrior to escape. Like a gust of wind, Zhang Tai, while carrying the mining basket, rushed towards the ore collection center below Wild Wolf Castle. At the sight of Zhang Tai dashing forward, a couple of people at the ore collection center hurriedly asked, Zhang Tai, what are you running for? Washroom. Zhang Tai's voice reverberated from afar. After Zhang Tai was more than 50 meters away from them, several bodyguards who were responsible for the safety of the Samira business group arrived and shouted loudly, catch that thief. That guy ahead of us is a thief. Hurry up, catch him. Closely following the bodyguards of the Samira business group was a group of students with a great sense of righteousness. In this fashion, a great number of people rushed by the ore collection center. This is bad. I have to go report to the teachers of the Temporary Supervision Committee and tell them that something is happening here. Noticing that something was amiss, a student who was acquainted with Zhang Tai told the others what he had to do before rushing towards Wild Wolf Castle. F***CK, is that brat Zodiac a rabbit? How could he run so fast? The group of LV3 and LV4 Samira business group warriors who were chasing Zhang Tai became shocked at his speed. Zhang Tai's speed was nothing like the speed a normal student should have, however, no matter how fast Zhang Tai could run, there was still a sharp difference between him and the other LV3 and LV4 bodyguards. The distance between them gradually shrunk from 100 m to 50 m, then 50 m to 20 m. Gritting his teeth, Zhang Tai kept dashing forward as he cursed inside, F***CK, when I am powerful enough, I will definitely stomp you bastards to death one day. Seeing the mining cave in front of him, Zhang Tai became excited as he increased his speed and directly rushed into the mining cave. The sinister smile on the faces of the bodyguards of the Samira business group, which were becoming more and more pronounced, suddenly froze when they saw Zhang Tai drilling into the mining cave in front of them. Without any hesitation, they also hurriedly followed him in. As Zhang Tai had gone inside this mining cave several times over the past few days, he was extremely familiar with the paths inside. This time when he rushed inside, he didn't have time to ignite a torch, so he simply stretched out his right hand to get a feel for the wall and quickly moved based on his memory without showing any signs of having slowed his steps. Because the bodyguards of the Samira business group who were following him were not able to see in the darkness and were unfamiliar with the topography inside, after traversing a bit more than 20 m inside the cave, the man at the foremost front had already hit his head on the wall in a corner of the cave and made a shrill shriek. Quickly find a torch. Quickly find a torch. It's too dark inside. We can't clearly see him. The brat ran into the hole. Hearing the shrill shriek and the furious voice behind him, Zhang Tai, who slightly slowed down his steps, showed a trace of a cold sneer. Damn. You guys wanted to set me up, so this father will frame you back. The path inside this mining cave was very long and was about 1 kilometer in length. After running for about 100 m, when Zhang Tai no longer heard the voices behind him, he searched for a torch in his mining basket. After igniting it, he continued to run inside to the place where he usually mined ores and was able to hear the crack-crack sounds made by the hose hitting the walls. When he finally reached the mini cave on the side, he put out the torch and heavily gasped for air. At this moment, darkness was truly the color which could protect him the most. Zhang Tai heavily panted for roughly 2 minutes. After recovering his composure, Zhang Tai hurriedly closed his eyes and locked onto the mysterious arched door in his mind before entering the castle of Black Iron. Within the castle of Black Iron, it was bright and warm everywhere. Handsome and magnificent castle lord, welcome to the castle of Black Iron. The same dialogue box with the same greeting appeared, but this time, Zhang Tai was not in the mood to read it in the least and instead poured out all the contents of his mining basket onto the ground. As expected, a delicate purse made from deer hide was found. As he took out the purse, Zhang Tai opened it and gave a casual glance at the contents inside. At the sight of more than 20 shiny gold coins and a handsome amount of silver coins, Zhang Tai laughed out loudly. Throwing the purse into the sundry box, Zhang Tai thought about it twice and decided to swap his dagger with the one that Donder had gifted him. Heaving a deep sigh, he exited the castle of Black Iron. More than 10 minutes later, a great number of brilliant flames poured into the underground mines, causing it to turn particularly bright. At the sight of the burning torches, Zhang Tai sneered and began to mine for ores inside his own mining hole in the same rhythm as usual. It was only when the bright group of torches arrived at the mouth of his mining cave several minutes later did Zhang Tai put down his iron hoe. Tightening the grip on the dagger on his waist, he walked out of the hole calmly with a burning torch in hand as if nothing had happened. Ahaya, what's going on? Why are there so many people digging in the mines here today? Looking at the burning torches moving inside, Zhang Tai looked pretty shocked and exclaimed, "Brat, we finally caught you. Obediently let us arrest you," said a man with a blue nose and a torch in hand. It was as if he had been ferociously punched by another person. "What do you mean by obediently let us arrest you? Who the f***ck are you? I am mining here as usual, so why are you telling me to obediently let us arrest you?" Zhang Tai gave a strange look before suddenly cursing loudly and ferociously. Hearing Zhang Tai's words, the faces of the men with the burning torches in hand suddenly twitched. "Brat, you're still going to argue? Just now, it was obviously that you were the one who had stolen my purse. We chased you from the square of Wild Wolf Castle all the way to here, yet you're pretending that nothing has happened? Everyone here could testify for us," another guy with a burning torch in hand said. This was exactly the person who had bumped into Zhang Tai in the square of Wild Wolf Castle. "I stole your purse?" Zhang Tai jumped up from the ground. "I could steal your mom, your grandma, your sister, but I would never steal your purse. Although we are not in Black Hot City now, I could still report you to the Temporary Supervision Committee for slander." "Don't talk crap with him. Just take him down first," said the guy with the broken nose. "Who the hell dares to touch me?" Zhang Tai instantly pulled out the dagger from his waist and ferociously glared at the people who wanted to move forward, causing them to be startled. They never expected Zhang Tai would use his weapon to fight back. After pulling out his dagger, Zhang Tai changed his expression and shouted towards the other horny students who had followed them in, "Fellow students, I am Zhang Tai, a student from 7th National Male Middle School. Since these guys are disturbing my survival training by framing me for stealing a purse and are trying to forcefully arrest me, a bit later, if I stab them to death, then please be my witness. This is the only thing I can do to protect myself. Is there any brother among you that could help me go fetch the Temporary Supervision Committee?" Some students who had followed them in the hole immediately became flustered. "Aren't we here to capture a thief? Why does he look so confident? Didn't you steal a purse in the square just now?" "We heard their shouts to capture a thief, so we followed them in. If you weren't the one who had stolen the purse, then why did you run?" "I had a stomachache just now and needed to go to the washroom. That's why I quickly ran back just now," Zhang Tai explained as if it was true. Seeing the fact having deviated so much from the script, the group of people from the Samira business group became anxious, and one of the men had surged forward towards Zhang Tai and placed his hands onto Zhang Tai's shoulders, aiming to directly take Zhang Tai down. Seeing that guy confidently attacking him, Zhang Tai's eyes flashed with an icy glint. Instead of retreating backwards, Zhang Tai moved forward and directly stabbed his dagger towards the throat of that person as his blade shone in a shiny, icy light. Including all the other miners and the other bodyguards of the Samira business group, Zhang Tai's move had startled everyone. Such a move was truly sharp and ferocious. With his eyes fixed on that person's throat, Zhang Tai's move was extremely fast and precise. This simple set of gestures and basic dagger training were something that he had learned at school and was used with a sense full of unspeakable sharpness, braveness, and valor. The series of consistent moves could never be completed by a normal student, it was similar to the moves used by a veteran soldier on the battlefields who have been used to fights where one move would determine life and death. The moment Zhang Tai moved, the face of the bodyguard from the Samira business group who had tried to take him down twitched. Zhang Tai's reaction reminded him of the master sergeant that had taught him how to fight when he had just joined the army. Any move and fighting skill used by that master sergeant would be both aggressive and frightening. At this critical moment, that bodyguard had no time to change his move. Reluctantly, he lowered his body with his face facing the sky, resulting in a sharp breeze from Zhang Tai's dagger closely flying over his forehead. Such a series of risky moves made everyone else exclaim, "Watch out." Soon after the exclamations of the onlookers, Zhang Tai didn't pull back his right hand and had instead surged forward in front to the center of that person, using his left hand to complete a hammer punch, a skill from the Iron Blood Fist skill repertoire, onto that person's stomach. Hammer punch was a very powerful skill that turned the impact of a punch to be one akin to a blow from a hammer. With a sound of a bang, the man, who was off balance, was hit and was sent flying 3 meters back before falling onto the ground at the place where he had started his attack on Zhang Tai. All of a sudden, the entire mining cave became extremely silent. At this moment, even the sound of a needle falling onto the ground could be heard. Aside from the zzz sounds that came from the burning torches, nothing else could be heard. Everyone was staring at Zhang Tai with wide-opened eyes as if they had seen a ghost. Among the onlookers, there were even some who couldn't believe their eyes and began to rub their eyes to make sure that what they had just seen was true. Was what we saw just now real? How could a student attending the survival training beat a Samira business group bodyguard, who's at least LV3, and send him flying backwards? Are you kidding me? The onlookers couldn't believe their eyes, and at the same time, Zhang Tai also became slightly excited, as the moment he fought back against the bodyguard, he had realized that what he had practiced in the trouble reappearance fruit had finally shown its effects. It seemed that the dagger training he had done at school over the past 3 years had greatly improved after repetitive practicing in the trouble reappearance fruit. The moves that could only be described as normal were now ferocious and an applicable fighting skill. Luckily, what he could do in the trouble reappearance fruit could replicate in reality. Chapter 99, Verbal Defense. In the cave, everybody had their eyes fixed on Zhang Tai. Remaining at his current spot, Zhang Tai, who had just hit a bodyguard and had sent him flying, crossed his hands behind his body and coldly stared at the bodyguards of the Samira business group. Ignoring the comments from the onlookers, Zhang Tai felt that his current gesture was heroic. However, in the eyes of those who knew fighting skills, they understood that this was the hidden blade move that was always seen during dagger training. With the dagger behind him, this caused people to not know where the dagger was, nor did they know whether the dagger was in his left hand or in his right hand. The dagger could also be put beside his waist, which frightened the others, as this increased the number of possible moves. This was the essence of the hidden blade move. Sometimes, a sharp, hidden blade could be more frightening than a blade that was exposed in the sun. After the short fight, Zhang Tai stood there with this hidden blade move, causing everyone to be shocked. Seeing Zhang Tai's cool gesture, the eyes of the onlookers all shone. Now, even those who had doubted Zhang Tai's words had started to trust him. The reason was simple, and that was because Zhang Tai's chi field and his status really matched with his hidden blade move. Instead of showing your purity and heroicness, this move was used to hide your killing intent. Anyone who saw Zhang Tai's heroicness that was brought from his strong chi field by his hidden blade move would not believe that Zhang Tai was a thief. Everyone knew that a rhinoceros would never drill into a mouse's den. A person's spiritual energy and chi field would leave the deepest impression on the hearts of others, and they were more persuasive than any words. So this is the true hidden blade move, some of the horny students among the onlookers mumbled as they cast their eyes full of admiration and worship onto Zhang Tai. This was the first time they had witnessed someone among the undergraduates attending the survival training applying a fighting skill that had been taught at school so skillfully. At this moment, the fellow named Zhang Tai had caused the eyes of many to shine. It was as if he had opened a gate, allowing them to enter a completely new world. All the horny students were startled, while the miners, who moved close to watch what was happening, became even more amazed. Although every one of the miners working here knew Zhang Tai, nobody could have expected that such an excellent warrior was among their fellow workers. At the sight of Zhang Tai's performance, many of the miners instantly became confident and straightened their backs. The Samira business group bodyguard who had been hit by Zhang Tai quickly recovered his composure. Zhang Tai's strike just now did not make him lose his will to fight. Having seen the short fight, all the bodyguards of the Samira business group realized that Zhang Tai was a tricky fellow and that they would have to expend some effort in order to take him down. After exchanging glances, the bodyguards of the Samira business group came to a final decision. "Brat, since you dare to fight back so ferociously, don't blame us for retaliating," solemnly warned a bodyguard who took a step towards Zhang Tai. "Even now, you're still trying to frame me so despicably and are still trying to destroy my bright future and reputation. So why should this father treat you politely?" Zhang Tai coldly glared at the bodyguards of the Samira business group who wanted to charge at him. "Before moving, I suggest you to think over this twice. Do you think it's worth risking your lives for that small bit of compensation that could barely allow your family to survive? Will the Samira business group feed you for the rest of your lives? I am only 15 years old. Have you considered what would happen if you try to create enmity with me over just a bit of compensation? I know you are smart, and we all know how things go. You are all just working for money, so I will warn you once again. Whoever dares to try to frame me as a thief again, this father will definitely kill him. I will see who will be killed first." Zhang Tai's ferocious words were more lethal than his hidden blade move. Hearing Zhang Tai's warning, the bodyguards who were about to surge forward instantly froze and became clear-minded. It was as if they had just been doused with icy water from head to toe. Right. Was it worth it to create a grievance with that brat just for a bit of compensation? Remembering his ferocious attack, his heroic character, as well as that frightening killing intent hidden within his hidden blade move, every one of the bodyguards realized one thing: even if they could take down this brat now, could they take him down in the future? Since this brat was already this sharp at the age of 15, he would definitely be outside of their control in a few years. If they framed him today and ended up destroying his bright future and reputation, what would happen if this guy decides to take revenge on them in the future? The bodyguards, especially the one who had experienced Zhang Tai's fighting skills just now, were all shocked by his words. If they truly infuriated Zhang Tai, they might really not be able to eat and sleep well from now on. It was nothing special to set up an unlucky student in the way arranged by and paid by Samira. However, if that student was so ferocious that it could cause them to not even be able to sleep well whenever they thought of him taking revenge, then everyone involved would have to reconsider it. Although the small bit of compensation from the Samira business group was enough to force them to take action, if they had to risk their own lives and bright futures, then the amount of compensation provided was far from enough. After exchanging glances with each other, the bodyguards instantly learned what each of them had thought. It seemed that today's incident would never develop as Samira had planned. From the beginning, this brat had already known how this story would develop. Such a person had really terrifying intelligence and strength, and it would be better for them to not stir trouble with him. They really didn't know why Samira forced them to breed enmity with such a terrifying person. "No matter what, I realized my purse was missing the moment you ran. Since you were the most suspicious one, that's why we kept chasing you. Are you idiots?" Zhang Tai cursed loudly. "You can go to the railway station of Black Hot City to have a look around. Every day, many purses are stolen over there." Which thief would instantly run once they heard the shouts from the owner? If they had truly done that, then they would just be admitting to their actions. "If you have low intelligence, then I will forgive you for insulting my personality, but you cannot insult my intelligence. If you had truly lost your purse, then I will see which bastard among you will dare to tell the onlookers that I have stolen your purse. Which one of you bastards dare to frame me?" After being cursed at by Zhang Tai, the bodyguards became less aggressive and could not even utter a single word. Instead, they simply looked back at Zhang Tai in the same manner as he looked at them. If Zhang Tai had not displayed his strength, then what he had just said would have made him a laughingstock. However, the fact was Zhang Tai had already shown his terrifying strength and intelligence. Considering what Zhang Tai had said and done, the bodyguards of the Samira business group really lost the courage to breed enmity with Zhang Tai just for a bit of compensation from the Samira business group. "Brother, could you tell me the name of that buddy? How could he be digging in the mines together with you?" a horny student asked a miner who was beside him in a low voice. "He's Zhang Tai. He has already worked here with us for about 20 days, as he said this, the miner looked at the person who had asked him the question with eyes full of contempt. Lowering his voice, he said, his actions are within reason since he had even killed 3 wolves by himself before jumping into a pitch-black hole that was as deep as 200 m in order to survive. "What? You're saying, he's that guy who was chased by 7 wolves and had jumped into a pitch-black hole in order to survive?" That person was really shocked by what he had heard. It turned out that Zhang Tai was not a normal student at all. He had long become a legendary figure. Of course. If he was that sharp, then why did he choose to mine here? This is a top secret. The miner rolled his eyes. What top secret? The horny student's eyes suddenly started to shine. This secret isn't something that I would casually tell others. The horny student gritted his teeth and pulled out 100 g of dried meat and tossed it to that miner. After receiving the dried meat, that miner whispered to him. What? You're saying digging in the mines is the best way to cultivate? You're saying that Zhang Tai realized all this by digging in the mines? You're saying that Zhang Tai had, at the very least, improved his strength by a level by just mining in the caves these past few days? Hearing the secret, the horny student was really shocked by that top secret. It was truly too amazing. Quiet. This secret was disclosed by Zhang Tai to the guys at the Ores Collection Center by mistake. Don't let the others know. The horny student hurriedly nodded while the other surrounding horny students had long kept their ears alert by raising them in a manner akin to donkeys. At that moment, with burning torches in hand, another group of people entered the mining cave. Seeing what was happening over there, they hurriedly made their way over. It was a teacher of the Temporary Supervision Committee and some students who were on duty in Wild Wolf Castle. Seeing the arrival of the teacher of the Temporary Supervision Committee, Zhang Tai and the bodyguards all heaved a deep sigh. Half an hour later in the office of the Temporary Supervision Committee, Zhang Tai and the bodyguards of the Samira Business Group were standing in the middle of the room, while Captain Kurlin, Mr. Zaram, and the other teachers of the Temporary Supervision Committee were sitting behind a row of desks. Aside from them, Samira was also sitting in a chair. At this moment, outside, the room was surrounded by students who came here to see how the story would develop. Miss Chili, who was responsible for the investigation, had inquired all the witnesses. Seeing the wisp of a smile on the corner of Zaram's mouth, Captain Kurlin became reassured. According to your testimony, the story has developed as follows. Jagla walked around the square of Wild Wolf Castle for more than half an hour before realizing that his purse had been stolen. At that moment, you saw Zhang Tai running away, so you took Zhang Tai as the thief who had stolen your purse. Is that why you called your people to chase Zhang Tai? Yes. That's how it was? The bodyguard from the Samira Business Group named Jagla admitted without any confidence. I will ask this once again. Among all of you present, did any one of you see how Jagla had lost his purse? Miss Chili asked. Everyone remained silent. When Miss Chili raised her voice and asked again, there was still no reply. At this moment, Zhang Tai, who had long been silently observing Samira, found the traces of a cold smile forming at the corner of Samira's mouth. The moment Samira was about to speak, Zhang Tai raised his hand. Miss Chili, I have a request. In order to avoid being framed by someone, I beg for your consent to allow me to return to Black Hot City to bring something back in the event that someone wants to testify that I was the thief. Chapter 100, A Complete Success. Zhang Tai's words had caused many people to be shocked, as none of them knew the reason behind Zhang Tai's request. What do you want? Are you trying to stall for time? The guy in silky hat instantly became alert and asked. Of course not. As a pious follower of the Guardian God School, I deserve to be under the protection of the Guardian God School when I am being set up and insulted. I simply wanted to ask Grandma Teresa for one of the Guardian God School's soul and bloodline contract. For those among you that want to testify that I am guilty, please sign the contract and make a soul and bloodline oath. If your testimony is true, then would definitely have no reason to fear it and neither would it do you any harm. Using this method, I can avoid from being framed by a despicable person. Am I right, Boss Samira with triangular eyes resembling the head of a poisonous snake? PFT. Miss Chili wasn't able to hold back from laughing out loud. Realizing her misconduct, Miss Chili hurriedly returned to her solemn look. The other teachers of the Temporary Supervision Committee all looked really weird, as it was a challenge for them to hold back their laughter. Everyone turned their gazes to the man with the silky hat. At the same time, the other members of the Hit Plane Brotherhood, who had just arrived outside the office, couldn't hold back and began to speak in weird voices as they mocked Samira's pair of triangular eyes. Samira's face turned purple. He stood up and pointed at Zhang Tai. Brat, who are you trying to scare? You could never get your hands on the soul and bloodline contract. You're just trying to stall the proceeding. My family has sold rice brew for dozens of years. Back when I was in Black Hot City, every week, I would send food to the orphans in the orphanage opened by Grandma Teresa. At the start, it was my father who sent it, then it was my elder brother, and now, I'm the one who sends it. For pious followers who have pure souls and feel obliged to help others like us, I think that Grandma Teresa and the guardian god would not like to see us being slandered by others. If you, Boss Samira, would like to try the effect of the soul and bloodline contract and do not fear being devoured by your lies, then you can just continue to try setting me up. Zhang Tai looked at Samira in disgust and spat towards him. Like colors being mixed on a palette, Samira's face was changing in color. At this moment, Samira had already long cursed Berwick's ancestors. Samira realized that Berwick's simple words, the one that said that Zhang Tai was the one who gave him trouble in public, was definitely a pit that waited for him to jump in by himself. If he had known that Zhang Tai was such a tricky guy, he would have never made such a rash decision. It was like beating a snake with a fly swatter. At this moment, Samira truly was full of regret. Earlier, Samira had planned to testify that he had seen Zhang Tai stealing that guy's purse, but when Zhang Tai mentioned the guardian god school's soul and bloodline contract, he was startled. The soul and bloodline contract was not something that only belonged to the guardian god school, many other schools also had this contract. The pious followers would cut their fingers and would write the soul and bloodline oath using their fresh blood and their prayers. Based on the constraints of the oath, as long as your name was on the contract, you would be devoured by the mysterious force within the soul and bloodline oath you had taken if you told a lie. In the entire Black Hot City, only during major trials would the soul and bloodline contract be used to test whether the witness testimony was true or not. Samira could never have imagined that Zhang Tai would be able to get such an item. He had known the name of the grandma who was truly a pious follower of the guardian god school, but never would he have thought that Zhang Tai was close to Grandma Teresa. Of course, Samira did not dare to bet his life on this trivial incident. After cursing inwardly a couple of times, he had no other choice but to sit back down in his chair with a solemn look. Seeing Samira staying silent with a solemn expression, Zhang Tai also heaved a deep sigh. Just now, he was just pretending to be confident. He had only heard of the soul and bloodline contract from others and was uncertain of whether or not he could get it. However, this was just like what Donder had taught him. When two brave men encountered one another on a narrow path, the braver man would win, but if two liars encountered one another on a narrow path, then the one with less confidence would be the first to retreat. As was expected, Samira was less confident than him. Thinking back to Fatty Donder's instruction, Zhang Tai sneered inside. I will repeat one more time. Is there anyone who had seen how Jagla's purse disappeared? Miss Chili asked one more time. After several seconds, there was still no reply. Then, the fact is clear. Jaglar, nobody had seen Zhang Tai stealing your purse, nor is there any physical evidence found. At that moment when you realized your purse was missing, you saw Zhang Tai quickly running away, but according to Zhang Tai, he was simply heading for the washroom. As Miss Chili could not bear to say the words relieve his bowels described by Zhang Tai, after hesitating for a while, she changed it into another saying. That's why you thought it was Zhang Tai who had stolen your purse and finally sought for help in this office. But as there are no witnesses or any evidence, I declare that Zhang Tai is innocent. Hearing the result, all the other members of Hit Plane Brotherhood cheered outside. Rolling his eyes, Samira stood up impatiently. I object. Your words don't make any sense. There is a toilet outside of Wild Wolf Castle, so why did Zhang Tai not choose that toilet, which was closer to him, and instead choose the mine that is far away? That's simple. I had left my toilet paper inside the mining cave. If I want to relieve my bowels, of course I would have to go back to the mining cave. If I have taken a *T in Wild Wolf Castle, would I ask for your help to clean my butt, Boss Samira? Does your business group has such a service? Are you saying that you never clean your butt after relieving your bowls? Are you saying that you clean your butt using your fingers or just don't clean it at all like those barbarians? My *T is still fresh over there and could be used as physical evidence. Do you want to identify it for yourself, Boss Samira? Zhang Tai sneered. Hearing Zhang Tai's counterattack, all the other horny students outside the door of the room burst out into laughter while Hista whistled crazily. The teachers of the Temporary Supervision Committee also held back from laughing out loudly. Captain Kurlan and Mr. Zaram's face both flushed red and expanded greatly, causing a weird expression to be seen on their faces. Many teachers directly buried their heads below the desk with shoulders heavily shaking. Even Miss Chili, who was responsible for the interrogation of this incident, had her face become twisted. As expected, Samira was so infuriated that he even kept stomping his feet onto the ground. Pointing at Zhang Tai, he cursed, "Bastard! If you weren't the thief and the purse isn't with you, then why didn't you stop and explain it when so many people were chasing you? Bastard. 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 Son of a b asterisk tch. Your brothers must have been shot onto your wall by your father masturbating and had dried on it, so why are you alive? Bastard, answer me. I'm cursing you, so hurry up and admit that you are a bastard. What are you waiting for? Zhang Tai directly growled towards Samira. As a result, Samira looked pale and instantly sat back down in his chair. Everyone, both the people inside and outside the room, all stared at Zhang Tai with wide-opened eyes. As Samira has never been cursed at by others since he was young, he pointed at Zhang Tai with a quivering finger and tried to ascertain what Zhang Tai had said. You. What did you curse me as? I cursed you? Zhang Tai innocently pointed at his own nose with wide-opened eyes. Blinking his eyes, he asked, did I curse you? I was just cursing that a bastard's brothers were shot onto the wall when his father masturbated and were sacrificed, all the while he was left alive. Are you saying that you are that bastard? Bastard, of course I'm not. Samira furiously replied. That's right. Since you're not that bastard, then my cursing has nothing to do with you, right? There isn't any need for you to respond in such a way. Look, there are so many people in the room, so why are you the only one who looks so excited and is jumping from the ground? Unless, you are that bastard? That would explain your response just now. Have I mentioned your name just now? Nonsense. I was not excited at all. I didn't make any response just now. Feeling that Zhang Tai was a tricky person, under the dubious eyes, Samira gritted his teeth and sat down, trying his best to be innocent as his eyes remained looking forward with confidence. Zhang Tai forced a smile. So, Boss Samira, do you understand why I didn't stop running when those people were chasing me? It's because I am not the thief. There was no need for me to stop and give them a response because I had thought that they were chasing after someone else at that moment. I didn't give a response since I am innocent. If I truly gave any response, I would truly have been in trouble. Bastard, 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 Boss Samira, why aren't you replying? Just reply. See? Since you aren't the bastard, you didn't reply and no one else here gave a response either. Do you understand now? What would I explain? Hearing Zhang Tai's words, Samira's face was as black as ink. Glaring at Zhang Tai, he knew that this time, Zhang Tai had set him up in return and had realized that Zhang Tai was unexpectedly tricky. Thinking of his purse, Samira felt pain once again, as there were more than 20 gold coins inside the purse. My gold coins. Zhang Tai, you bastard. Just you wait. Leave. Followed by several bodyguards, Samira furiously stood up from his chair and prepared to leave, as he constantly felt restless here. Hold on, Boss Samira? Zhang Tai stopped Samira in a slow voice. Since you are already fine now, what else do you want? Samira loudly shouted at Zhang Tai. Thanks for your pardon. Since Boss Samira has said that I'm fine now, then next, there's something you need to do. What do you mean? Seeing Zhang Tai's confident smile, Samira suddenly felt as if something bad was about to happen.